One.
And welcome once again to the Love Power Show, an exciting edition of the Love Power Show. We have guests who are knowledgeable, exciting, inspiring, thought-provoking, and sometimes controversial. The Love Power Show. Welcome once again to the Love Power Show. And the numbers to call are 901-452-3094. And you may call also 901-324-7490. And I'm Wallace Radio Moderator. Omar Baruti, Judge Joe Brown, Latoya Harris is here with us today. Dan Claiborne on the camera, Isaac Woolridge on the board. Yes, and we have on the table today racism. Let's talk more about that. And we have human capital in the economic world. And if we have time, let's talk about brainwash. So some people that we will be authors, rather, be referencing would be Bobby Wright, the psychopathic racial personality, brainwashed by Tom Burrell, challenging the myth of black inferiority. Yes, and we are looking forward to another exhilarating conversation, discussion with Melvin Walker. And we hope that he will join us again on today. At least that was our agreement on last week. But 7 days have passed and transpired since then. Many things have happened. And maybe there are some things that I've forgotten, but hey, I'm raring and ready to go right here, right now. 901-452-3094. We've got 901-324-7490. Give us a call right here. And if we need to, we have a third line we can use. If that's not the case, then you may leave your comments and questions on Facebook Live right here. We've got Omar's number that we may use as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Let's get our contrasting and comparing going, Isaac.
That's right.
Let's get our critical thinking going.
That's right.
Critical analysis.
Analysis.
That's the one you want to hear.
Who are they?
And who are they?
That's right.
They are out there somewhere.
That's right.
But they is a very general, vague term. It's not specific, is what it is. But Dr. Bobby Wright says, and you know, talking about racism is a very broad term, and there are many definitions for this word called racism. And I will tell you that most people, when I hear them, they don't know what racism is. But what it boils down to, oh, I see some masks popping up. Made me forget to put my mask on so that I will protect my comrades here. Yes. Yeah, but I'm having some problems here. I got all of these headphones and cords and strings hooked up to my head. Yeah, let me see what I can do here. Hey, bear with me while I get this mask on. It's not coordinating today. Blue and white is not lining up, Dan, with this.
Black is always right.
But hey, what about blue?
Not always true.
Hey, but it's not lining up with the Senegalese cap. It's not lining up. She got hers on, and she has one of those breathing gadgets in hers. But no, it's not lining up with the red shirt.
Survival is always
red on red with red. Yes. Anyway, Dr. Bobby Wright, I was saying that, and the more I listen and think, the more I realize how so very broad this term is. But the one thing we know for sure, that it boils down to hatred. Hatred is in that definition somewhere. I don't care how you define it. I remember I took a course at the University of Memphis from Professor David Acey. I think he gave us a list of about, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe even 10 definitions. And he said for the exam, I think the first definition was one who thinks his or her culture, identity, whatever, is better than the next group or the next race. And he said that that's the definition I want for the exam. And I was thinking to myself, I'm kind of happy about that because that will ensure that I will make an A on this exam. But I can easily remember that. But in times, as time has passed, and this is one of the things that we will get deeply into, that black people, many black people have said that black people can be, and in some cases, are racist. And Dan is already jumping up and down, shaking his head.
Damn.
You see? And so, but Dr. Bobby Wright says, and Dr. Bobby Wright, he's dead by the way, with his definition, there's room for more discussion in his definition. And I'll tell you why. Because he says that he starts off with a functional definition. He says functional. But he also says, I'll read it's not a very long paragraph. A functional definition of racism could be, that could be stands out to me, the oppression and exploitation of people because of their race. Using this definition, it is very clear that at this point in time, he uses the word blacks, cannot be racist because of their lack of power to oppress anybody, he says, whites, Indian, or Chinese. So yes, we want to get into that today, first 30 minutes if we can. And second 30 minutes, take a look at human capital, because that was something that Melvin Walker mentioned last week. And he has a degree in a bachelor's in economics and a master's in economics. He said, we know that we have a call already?
Omar.
We got Omar Baruti.
Already.
Yes. But we know something about the economy, the study of the environment, competition, business, strong institutions, and all that. I'm coming right to you, Omar. Then we've got human capital within there. We're going to take a look at that. And Brainwashed by Tom Burrell. Omar Baruti.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
How you doing?
I'm glad for you to be here, too. Latoya says, how are you?
How you doing, my sister?
I'm well.
She says she's
I'm
well.
well. How are you?
Anyway, yes, we've got Shirley Jefferson and Pearl Walker watching, and Sister Michelle watching live on Facebook. Yes, Omar. So we've got racism, human capital, and brainwashed. And I read, did you hear? I read one definition. I was talking about the broadness of those terms. And I read one definition by late Dr. Bobby E. Wright. And then we have Dr. Claude Anderson weighing in on the definition. As he weighs in, he says something similar to what Dr. Bobby Wright says, and that is, but his short paper says, what is racism as it concerns blacks? They're both using this blacks term. Dr. Claude Anderson says that racism is a wealth and power-based competitive relationship between blacks and non-blacks. The sole purpose of racism is to support and ensure that the white majority and its ethnic subgroups continue to dominate and use blacks as a means to produce wealth and power. Centuries of black enslavement and Jim Crow semi-slavery resulted in the majority society becoming 99-foot giants and blacks 1-foot midgets. This massive inequality in wealth and resources made blacks non-competitive and totally dependent upon whites for the necessities of life. True racism exists only when one group holds a disproportionate share of the wealth and power over another group, then uses those resources to marginalize, exploit, and subordinate the weaker group. In America, there are some whites who use wealth and power to marginalize, exploit, and subordinate blacks. Whites can deny blacks unemployment, education, opportunities, business resources, and a place to live or a right to vote. Therefore, according to this definition, black people cannot be racist. No group of blacks has the power or exclusive control of resources to the degree that they can educationally, politically, economically, and socially exploit and marginalize the white race. Blacks can only react to racism and try to alter the conditions that racism creates. Go ahead, Omar. Let's take it across the finish line.
The writer is absolutely correct.
Which
Racism is a power component to suck the blood out of those people at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the most powerful blood suckers you can find. When you can take away resources from people, you can discriminate against people based on the color of their skin or their origin in the world, then that is abject racism. We have been subjected to that since we made our connection with the white world. And it will not change overnight. It didn't get like that overnight. And when they do it, they make it seem like it's normal. And when they put us in categories, they make it seem that the punishment that we suffer, the poverty that we suffer, all that's normal too, like it was ordained for us to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, when they read the Bible, they made it appear that God was punishing us for the color of our skin.
Mm.
And they put into the religion, so now when they practice their religion, it's all right, like, God punished y'all, so we ought to.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's ingrained into the society, and it will not go away overnight, and people don't even know they're racist. Don't even know they're racist until you force them to look in the mirror at their racist.
Mm-hmm.
Racism is something that's taught to the children, because they don't come out the womb racist.
Mm-hmm.
They learn it through the culture, they learn it through the environment, the social environment.
Mm-hmm.
They learn what racism is, and then they practice it like it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a total brainwash around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't rewash the brain to get rid of it, it ain't going nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And also, Omar, is it also taught in the homes of people, certain people
It's
especially?
the household in America.
Mm-hmm.
You were taught to love your white skin and to despise people that don't look like you.
Mm-hmm.
And black children are taught to hate their black skin and want to be like somebody who don't even care nothing about them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we go to the Korean shop to get our nails done. We want somebody else to do things for us. We want to give them our money because we don't like who we are.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we'll pull a gun out and shoot our own people. We won't shoot the white man that's causing all of us to die.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a drive-by shooting in Orange Mound they were doing that by shooting Germantown. Even though it's that group of people that's causing us the suffering and pain that we're going through. Because we hate ourselves, we've been taught to hate ourselves under the system of racism. Mm-hmm. And we've been taught to love the person that put us in the condition that we're in.
Yes.
Not only to love them, but also to fear them. Let's think about that. You have a shootout in a neighborhood. The Bloods versus the Crips. Bullets flying. So one police car come down the street. One. Now squad, but one. They run like raid has been sprayed on them. If you got that much power, then won't you go after the enemy of black people instead of going after your own brother? Mm-hmm. You got that kind of power. But you ain't got that kind of power because it's controlled by the tenets of racism. When you hit your own brother, and you're taught that your own brother is fair game to kill. Mm-hmm. But white folks, no, hands off. Mm-hmm. And the reason is, but if it goes back, if you whistled at a white woman back in the day, you were lynched, publicly lynched. If you didn't get off the sidewalk when she was coming down the sidewalk, you could be lynched. If you made more money than the white man made, like he admitted, they burned down some grocery because the black merchant was making more money than white folks were making, and they burnt the store down and lynched the owners of the store.
People's Grocery in Mississippi and Walker.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Anything you did that disturbed the white man caused you to have to suffer the death penalty. Even if it was innocent, honest, you didn't care. You're not supposed to be in that position that white folks are in. But the racism is sewn and woven into the fabric of this country, even to this day as we speak. Mm-hmm. And my son, when he was at the University of Michigan getting his doctorate degree, he had to sue. He was ready to sue the school. Why? Because they were practicing racism in the laboratory in the PhD program. They were practicing racism. He's doing research papers, trying to get them published in the American Medical Association Journal, and the lab professors tell him, why don't you let little Kathy combine with you, and then she put out 2 papers that she just did, with your 5 papers that you just did. And then he said, well, why would I want to put her on mine, and you want to put her name up front, which means that the person's name up front, they get credit for the whole thing. I'm just their assistant. Mm-hmm. No. He formed a group called Skin and Color, went to the school, went to the board of directors for the college, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and told them he was going to sue them. And they went behind closed doors and said, if you don't sue us, we'll fund your 501c3. Mm-hmm. But again, they knew it was blatant racism. And it's at all levels of the society. It's not going away overnight. But we got to fix it. We got to force the issue just like they're doing with Black Lives Matter, and then Trump is pushing back with these camouflage demons walking down the street arresting people just because they're out there. Mm-hmm. But again, that has to stop. But we can't stop trying to push it and push it out of the system. It's going to take a while. It ain't going to take one generation. It's going to take a while. Mm-hmm. Because the children are taught that. They're taught like that, you know, do better and don't fool with them niggers. That's how they're taught. Mm-hmm. And if you fool with one, then you would only use them for this, and this. Then you can't put them at the top with you. Mm-hmm. Sad to say, but that was more blatant when I was coming along. When I graduated college, I spent one summer in Chicago, but in the newspaper in Chicago, there were some jobs I heard said niggers, not niggers, colored people need not apply. Mm-hmm. In the newspaper, colored people need not apply. Mm-hmm. But even though it was a job I was qualified for, because it was completely covered, don't waste your time. Some of it was blatant, and some of it was covert. And I've had even covert racism, undercover racism. The reason I didn't get something. Mm-hmm. But again, that still is even today. Donald Trump is just a student of racism. He might even be the epitome of racism. But those Negroes that love Donald Trump, like the black conservatives and others who love him, support his racist ways and his racist attitude and the system of racism because they are a victim of that system and don't even know it.
Well, you said something about I don't remember your exact words, but we have to fix this racism problem. I heard, I guess just yesterday, a couple of times, black people saying that it's not our problem, it's their problem, and they're the ones who have to fix it. Well, I question that idea. What do you say about that idea? Now, here's what I think about that idea. You have a problem, and we've been talking and teaching and learning for years that when we have a problem, yes, when the subject has a problem, it is upon the subject to fix and solve its own problem. Go ahead, Omar. What do you say to that idea?
If we don't control the system, brainwashing is a system that produces racism. You're brainwashed to believe that you're better than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the system that we have, we don't control that system. For example, back in my day, and I talk about this all the time, they had a duck called Donald Duck who had a little girlfriend, not a wife, but a lady friend. And they had a lot of little baby ducks. But you know, you have baby ducks from having certain physical activity in the bedroom.
All right.
They never said they were married. They said his girlfriend. Had a little hard from the screen. He always had a good outcome. He had a rich uncle named Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
But they also had a black duck named Daffy Duck.
Yeah.
The word Daffy means crazy.
Right.
Stupid. And Daffy Duck was always getting in trouble. And Elmer Fudd, the white man, was always going after him with a shotgun.
Yeah.
The children didn't see ducks. They saw personality. They saw people. They saw white folks having a good time, always having a successful ending. And they saw a black person named Daffy, stupid, crazy, always getting shot at as if that's the right thing to do because he was always doing stupid stuff. Even the language we use, like angel food cake, which is white, and devil food cake, which is chocolate. The name says that you are a demon because you are dark complected, and you are an angel because you are white complected. The language has to change. It's so ingrained into the society, it's going to be hard to root out. But they're the ones who put it there. They're the ones that need to take it out. But it's got to be teamwork. They're not going to take it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, they got it so deep ingrained, they forgot they stuck it in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to work together to make it happen, but they got to be the ones that start the process because they got to show a sincere desire to remove it and to take the barriers down. But that's how they operated since they came here. They don't know any other way to do it. How do you have a military AFRICOM in Africa? And Africa is one of the richest countries on earth, but you got poverty everywhere because you go in there and you America, you Great Britain, you France, you go in there and you big dictators who will take the money that you give them and then they will take and then rob the people. You do that with your white racist self. But
Okay.
And really, if you were really on the side of the common man, you would never do that. You would fix a system where I can give the resources and everybody benefits. But you don't do that. And whether you Exxon or Gulf or whatever, you all are components of the racist system across the earth. It's a global system of racism. So the man you mentioned, he is absolutely on point. Dr. Prescott Wells is absolutely on point. Go back and listen to what they're talking about, and you can see how racism works. The brainwash is there, and it's going to be hard to unbrainwash it because we don't control the system, but the media system that brainwashed us in the first place. We don't control that system. You know, it's in every area of life, not just in the political arena, but it's also in religion. You got to be washed whiter than snow to get to heaven. I got to be washed it all.
Okay.
But again, the religion. If you go into most black churches, they got white angels, white Jesus, they everything white. At least the Bible didn't have any black folk in it. And the Bible is full of black characters, but we don't know that. The religion is it's whitewashed, and we are victims of that whitewashed religion. But in every area of life, the justice system. The criminal justice system, I saw it first, I've been seeing it firsthand for over 30 years of black men in prison. And here are young men who did the same crime, and they're at home watching TV. Why are you here? Because of the color of your skin. That's why you're here.
Yeah, that makes me...
Even the laws were skewed so that if you committed a crime, then it was more It's always be that you're going to get more prison time than the white man that committed the same crime. It's like crack cocaine versus cocaine. If you got crack, then you got more time than if you had pure cocaine. I saw that in Holly Springs. Here's a brother with a kilo, a white little brother with a kilo of cocaine. Here's a black little brother with 5 rocks. Both of them had no prior arrest record. The brother with the 5 rocks got a mandatory sentence. The brother with the kilo went home on probation for 5 years. No jail time.
I remember when that was raging throughout the country, Omar. Absolutely. But when you talk about race and the color line, it made me think about W.E. Du Bois saying that America's problem is the problem of the color line. We've got a call, but before I take that call, something real funny here. My cousin, Shirley Jefferson, says, speaking of your colors, says red, white, and blue, how patriotic can you be? When I was talking about the colors, I wasn't thinking like that. That's rather witty of her. But anyway, let's take this call. Go ahead, caller.
Oh, well, good morning, Brother Red.
Good morning, Judge Joe Brown.
Good morning, Judge.
Not doing pretty good.
Well, you know what?
What?
Let's break something down into reality. You're on a playground and you're 7 or 8 years old. And there's some kids on the playground you can always pick on, slap across the back of the head and take their lunch money. They never stand up, but every now and then when you run into them by yourself and there's no teacher around, there's 6 or 7 of them that might try to jump you, maybe. But you can always turn around and say, you just wait till I catch you, and then they turn around and run anyway. That's kind of like black folk. We don't do things that demand respect. We don't act like we demand respect, and we can't back up a demand for respect most of the time. Criminal justice system can be very fair, but let's take Memphis, Shelby County as an example. White folk are only 19.1% of the registered voters in the city, and a little over 28% of the registered voters in the county. Yet we've got a racist lesbian white girl, Amy Wyrick, as DA. We've got 5 or 6 out of the 10 criminal court judges that are overt racists. And we've got exceedingly incompetent white mayor. And we've got a gay boy for the county mayor that hasn't done a damn thing for black folk, even though he's got the color. Now, whose fault is that?
You know, 1 minute, Judge, he stepped up for us.
You've got 6 folk ganged up on this white boy that's been slapping you across your head, taking your lunch money when he pleases, talks about you, shoves you when nobody's looking. And you got an opportunity to jack his ass up and you don't take the chance. What's wrong with that picture?
Judge, give him
That's
1
our
minute.
fault right there. And to go around and blame this white boy for slapping you across the head when you got 6 of your homies with you and you don't do something to change the dynamic, that's your fault. When we talk about black people getting discriminated against and you just left a restaurant and somebody black is sharing the bitches and hoes that he has been with on the other side of the parking lot with somebody that's standing on the opposite side, so your wife or your date or your children or your grandchildren hear that. That's really nice, you know? Or you got some sister that runs around with a body over. She weighs almost 300 pounds. She's got a $200 nail job and a $400 weave, 15 extra pounds packed on the top of her head. and she and her homegirl are being loud and offensive in the restaurant. Now, whose fault is that? See, we do stuff that makes us hate ourselves. So we got to straighten that out.
Okay.
We need to do something about getting back in these homes, and instead of getting back in these homes, we are letting the city paint rainbows on a damn sidewalk because that's more important than what we do in our homes. And I'll be damned, I've been in Memphis for almost 50 damn years, and I've never seen a red, black, and green sidewalk, but I see a whole bunch of rainbow sidewalk and decorations put up or allowed by the city over in the Cooper Young district.
Well, Judge, I'll say this. Let me respond. Judge, man, I'd like to respond to your, well, at least one of your questions. You have several on the table there.
Yeah.
I left the mic for a minute, but you were saying that whose fault is it that many of these bad things are happening? And I'll go back to what I said a little while ago, that I question this idea that the problem of racism, and then I want to hear from you and Omar on this, is our problem. Hold on a second. Go ahead, Latoya.
Judge O'Brien, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, how you doing? You have Sister Michelle said, I agree that we have a major part in fixing racism, and the majority of it's being communicated because Aqua Payne has explained to be understood. We do have to back it up with consequences, but even then, we have awkward feelings between both parties. Actions are the result of, I can't see the, what's that?
Spell it.
I can't see the bottom of it. It cut it off, but she was pretty much agreeing with what you said.
Actions.
Let me say this.
I think she was saying. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. She was saying actions are the result of a plan. Actions are the result of a plan.
I got that. But look, let me say this. I actually did something about it over a 10-year period. Like I pointed out before, the statewide felony recidivism rate was 80% in criminal courts all across the state of Tennessee. In my courtroom, it was only 18%. And what I did essentially, breaking it down very simply, was I gave some of these victims some home training and put some manhood in them. And then they stopped committing crime. You see, neighborhoods have to start coming together and saying, no. My sister, Ricky Stone, Mrs. Ricky Stone, she lives in an area where it's in transition, but she organizes the people in the area, and when somebody gets out of line, they get visited. When some of the children are acting really ridiculous, they get corrected and the parents get visited, or the parent gets visited. You see, you can do things about this. It starts in the home. We said that. And this other thing about, is it our job to correct the inequities? Yes. Because we suffer from it. And Guns and Ammo down on Summer Avenue is an interesting toy store for those who are so inclined. We go in there and we buy the stuff, we buy ammunition, we don't buy enough of it, we don't practice enough, but some of us do. Go out here on Whitten Road to shoot point blank. You get black people working there, black people, a lot of us are shooting there. So we can learn. We can start putting these acquired abilities to use, or at least doing the same damn thing the United States of America did for damn near 40 years when they had a bunch of nukes, B-52s, and M-60 tanks, and damn near whatever in hell the Navy put out on the ocean that nobody else could match. And we held off the other ones because it's like, I dare you do something, hell will come. We have to be in that position. We see this all around us, and all the damn solutions we have is to pray. And that doesn't work. You got the white boy God on your side, which doesn't work.
Okay,
They want to.
Okay, I want Omar to build on that some, Judge. Omar, did you hear what the judge just said?
He said prayer doesn't?
No, he said, he said the white boys got God on their side. But I want Omar, because Judge Omar said something similar in his last comments about religion, Christianity, and God punishing black people because of the color of their skin. Since God is punishing black people, we may as well, and I'm paraphrasing Omar, correct me if I misstep there too. But did you hear what the judge just said? Hey, contrast and compare. Go ahead, Omar.
In all areas of people's activity is steeped in racism. Steeped deep in racism. And unless you can change the system, it's going to be hard to change the racism that capitalizes on that system. It was in a book by Mealy Fuller Jr., a good friend of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. He talks about those areas of human activity, which includes the economic system. Black folks have plenty of money. They don't spend it with each other because they've been tolerant. We have a racist system that we don't need to do. We need to spend money somewhere else. That's why the money doesn't bounce in the black community. Everybody else bounces their money. We don't even bounce in one half of a bounce because of the economics and the racism in the economic part of it. Education, the same way. We don't value education like that. Although we got more people, more black folk in this country than they have in the whole country of England. Black folk who have bachelor's and master's and doctor's degrees. We have them, but we don't use it as that. We should be trying to use it to go and set up companies that we can do our own thing instead of trying to beg people for jobs with other companies. Entertainment. They will pay for entertainment that denigrates black folk, but what will pay for entertainment that uplifts black people? We used to have BET. Now somebody white bought it out, now they put it back in the ghetto. They put it in the ghetto because it wasn't there in the first place. Labor is another area of the world that we are consistently at the bottom on. We're the first one to be fired, the last one to be hired. This is a system of racism. The law, obviously, is. Judge Joe Brown knows that left and right because he's seen it up close. And even though he tried to make some serious adjustments and corrections to the system, because he sees it, he's seen it, for decades. He realizes that it's there and it's hard to deal with it. Religion and politics, they go hand in hand, like handmaids. Both of them are steeped in racism. The political, especially with Donald Trump, is boiling into racism. And religion, I mean, look, we have to go back and re-brainwash everybody in the black world to make them understand that you do not have to be white to be with the Savior if you got one. But that's how we believe, especially in Africa, a black continent that have white Jesuses and white heaven and white this and white that, and you can't be nothing until you get to be white. That's racism to the utmost, and it causes us to be retarded in our thinking and our progress towards being a civilized and free people. We can't do it because the religion is a look. When they took the chains off of our hands and our legs, they put that chain around our head, around our mind. That's why you have that book with a picture of a child that's got a chain around him. What is called the miseducation of the Negro? You know exactly what he's talking about. Because that brainwash is still there. It's still there and it never left. It just changed form, but it's still there. And then, of course, sex and war, same thing. It's all steeped in racism. You're not going to escape it until you change and dismantle the whole system and bring it to tumbling down, and then you can build it back up like it should have been in the first place.
Let me add something to the mix about Africa, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. Go ahead.
I actually spent about 10 to 12 hours over several days, well, several weeks, talking to the next High King of Zululand, Swaziland, and his brother, who is currently Swaziland's prime minister. They're direct descendants of the great Shaka Zulu. And they gave me an interesting perspective. And it was they don't understand why American black folks do not assume a leadership position in the world instead of relying on them. They say they are too fragmented to do it. They live in an area where the economy is a subsistence economy. They say black Americans live in the 21st century in the heart of progressiveness, where everything is going on, and they cannot understand nor comprehend how black Americans fail to take advantage of the opportunities to acquire what they can. They know that all of the Africans that come out of Swaziland all want visas and permission from them. They can give permission to their king. If he's a king or he's the high prince and his father is going to abdicate when he gets his PhD. He's already killed his lion at 13, and he and his brother are going to have to slay a Cape buffalo with a sword and a spear under the watchful eyes of the elders. And he says, all of these people who want to come over here to find out how things work find themselves in a position where instead of going to black Americans to learn these things, they are so disappointed that black Americans have sat in the midst of what they need to get it together with blind eyes, and they have to ask white people to find out what white people are doing because black Americans won't look at it, at them, or what is being done. They say you sit in the midst of high technology, but they don't see black Americans even getting interested. You sit in the midst of economic opportunity, but they don't see black Americans taking advantage of it. You sit in the midst of peace where there is no interscene warfare and killing going on just because it's the way of man until they get totally civilized. You find black folk killing each other off because their mama didn't know how to teach them to be a warrior and was too stupid to find a warrior to be the father of her children. You see, they got on that one. That's really...
Gotcha.
I don't understand these black American women, why they're too stupid to pick a warrior to be the father of their children. And a warrior is not just some fool that goes out trying to get somebody to do him the favor of killing him. A warrior is somebody that has the interest of his people in the forefront of his mind. See, I look around and I say, we have a crippled mindset. It's like somebody walking in, and I saw this kid one time. I'll give him it as an example. He had a really messed up mama that I was acquainted with because I had represented her on many occasions. This guy came out like 6'4", 6'5". He had women used to talk about how handsome he was, but his mama had messed him up so bad he thought he was an ugly looking man. He didn't even try out for athletics because he had been told that he'd never make anything of himself. And he missed all this potential, and I'm trying to drum in his head, boy, you're one of the smartest people I know. Now, I worked on him, and right now he's a physician. All right? Good one. But he lives up in Canada with his wife to get away from the hell of his in-laws and his own parents down here. So it's like, what the hell are we doing when we deal with putting inferiority in our own heads?
All right, that's a great question, Judge. We have 901-324-7490 open, Isaac.
I think, or just give out the guest line. I'm not sure what line.
Okay, give us a call.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
One of them is off.
Okay, 901-324-7490, or try 901-452-3094. And the third line you may call would be 901-452-3942. And Omar, we're going to have you give your number out. But we've got Bianchi Bancoli. You've heard of Bianchi Bancoli, is that right? And Omar, to you, and then back to you, Judge. But let me read what he says. Bianchi says, look, yes, blacks can be racist. Racism is not illegal unless a U.S. citizen's rights are violated. He goes on to talk about Chicago. In Chicago, 995 shot and killed, 178 murdered in 61 days. Blacks shooting blacks. No white police shooting. Is that racism? You go first, Omar, and coming back to you, Judge Joe Brown.
Then I have a response for Judge Joe Brown.
Okay, we'll take that afterward. Go ahead, Omar. Bianchi Bancoli, weighing in from Facebook.
You know, if I teach you to hate yourself and to love me, even though I'm taking advantage of you, then you're going to do just what I taught you to do. And you're going to do it very well because I'm going to give you a reward for doing it. That's who we are. We are brainwashed people. We're taught to hate ourselves, hate our hair, the texture of our skin. One of the biggest products that sells in Africa is bleaching cream. Why? Because you're taught to hate the black skin. I've had Africans come over here to this country, we're doing Kwanzaa, trying to find a white woman to be with. They didn't even like their own black woman because that brainwash is there to make you hate yourself and to make you want to even kill yourself because of that self-hatred. That's not a lie, that's history. Until Piake goes.
And let's keep it clean. Hey, look, let's keep it clean and diplomatic and intellectual, Omar. Continue. Huh?
If you go into the scriptures, those who are scripturally oriented, go to the book of Mark where it says Jesus was getting out of a boat and going onto the shore. And he said he met a man that came out of the tombs. And he was a man that was, they said nobody could keep him in chains. He was going up and down through the mountains in the tombs. He was cutting himself with on the stones. He was injuring his own self. This man, but he was brainwashed to believe that he was no good. And then Jesus saw the man, looked at the man, and the man saw something special about Jesus. And when Jesus spoke, he spoke to the person inside the man. He said, "What is your name?" And the person inside said, "My name is Legion, for there are so many of us." And then Jesus caused those demons to come out of the man. And then the man came into his right mind. And when the man left the cemetery and went into the city, he said, "Be careful." And the people were afraid of him because they said, "He's in his right mind now. He's dressed appropriately. He's thinking appropriately." Because they are afraid of a black man that wakes up. That's why they don't want nobody like the people in the nation of Islam to come around there. They know you woke up. They don't want nobody in the black community like a black brother. The brother comes on and says, "You should have to get off the air." They don't want him to do that. They don't want to wake nobody up. Because they put you in this cemetery. They put you in that mindset to hate yourself, to do you doing wicked thing against yourself. You spend your money with somebody else to make them better off than you are. That's the hate they put in us, and it's still there, and it ain't going nowhere until we control that system of brainwashing. It's not going anywhere. Go to the book of Mark for those scholars out there and read it, and then you have a fresh interpretation of what that book is really talking about.
Hey, Omar, I like the way you are astutely and creatively blending the last topic into the topic of racism. An excellent job. Yes, sir.
Something that needs to be known. I said we have.
But I want you to respond to Bianca's question too, Judge.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Talking about Chicago. There's something that people need to understand about Chicago. I interviewed 3 Chicago detectives on my show over the last 2 weeks, and there's an element that the press is not letting us know about. I have indicated that the black man in America has 2 enemies now: racism and LGBT queer. Mm-hmm. All right? Mm-hmm. Lesbian Lori Lightfoot, mayor of Chicago, is one of the most asininely stupid things I've ever heard of. Or it was profoundly evil with great intent to carry out evil and done in a very wicked and novel and ingenious way. The police are upset because Lori Lightfoot, lesbian mayor of Chicago, took some federal funds that were earmarked for community development, and instead of giving it to legitimate community organizations, she gave the money directly to some Hispanic street gangs. And they used the money to arm themselves and resupply. And most of that insane killing that you're hearing about in Chicago has got to do with Hispanic street gangs gunning down black boys. And in revenge, black street gangs gunning down Hispanic boys. The Hispanic leadership is livid because that damn fool gave a huge amount of money to a street gang. And they don't want street gangs any more than black folk. Decent black folk want black street gangs. So that hell in Chicago is generated by this Democratic ass, this lesbian Lightfoot in her white lesbian dyke white. So we've got an artificially generated round of insane violence that was fueled at the top, from the top.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm so glad Trump's got sense enough to send in some federal agents to put some peace to that, since the Chicago police said their hands are tied by City Hall and they can't.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, there is this. Why in the world do you have this? Well, that generates an image. Black men killing each other, which generates a call for more gun control. That generates a call for et cetera, and what happens is the citizens of Chicago can't defend themselves. It's not really black on black. It's black on brown and brown on black.
Okay.
And that is a hell of a mess that's being generated by this LGBT queer bunch in conjunction with the BLM queer bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to these detectives, and they're telling me the same thing I've been saying when they were looking at these so-called BLM demonstrations. They were finding 8, 9, 10 little ratchet white cupcakes for every black person involved. And the other bit is the white folk have a bond situation set up, so as soon as they get locked up, they get bailed out, and the black folk get left there sitting up in jail.
Okay.
And they got a couple of thousand folk, black folk, crowding their jails because they were damn fools enough to get out there and let these ratchet little white cupcakes induce them in the name of saving themselves to do something that had nothing to do with black people, but was all about putting the secondary enemy of black people, LGBTQ queer, BLM queer, in a position to do something. And BLM queer, by the way, if you read their mantra, the third paragraph from the bottom says, "We are a queer affirming network."
All right, Judge, we've got another call on the line. Judge, put a pin right there, Judge. We've got a call on the line. But hey, Brandon, my nephew, if you can't get through, put your comment or question on Facebook. Hey, Charlotte, put your comment or question on Facebook. Let's take this call. I'm going to come back, and Latoya's going to read those questions and comments. Hey, by the way, it's the top of the hour, AM 1600 WMQM.
Hello.
Love Power Show. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, this is Ricky Stevens.
What's up, Ricky Spears?
Hello.
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead, speak.
Hi, Judge Joe Brown and Mr. Red.
Yes, sir.
I'm the one that had the visions of angels and stuff. I've been calling Pastor Guy a lot, but I used to call WDIA and certain things.
Now, are these angels black or white? Or brown or yellow or other color?
Well, I've seen black people in white robes. I've seen a white angel in a green robe, but it's a dinosaur, unicorn, a dragon, some aliens, just different creatures outside of the body.
Gotcha. Go on with your point, sir.
Okay, I had a two-part point. You know how you grow up in school and you're not strong enough to fight the bully back because he's bigger and stronger and meaner and everything. But God doesn't like bullies either. But the thing that I question the most, there used to be where when I was growing up in Albany, New York, you could claim self-defense, in a killing or whatever. But you're not able to do that anymore. Nobody's really willing to defend themselves against a bully if they know they're going to go to prison anyway.
Okay.
So that's the same thing they're using to push everybody else into that pit, of racism. Most black people that I talk to that didn't grow up racism, they're not racist. But that's viewed as a weakness and sissified and everything, when actually it's just being wise. Why fight and get killed or something when you can walk away or make some kind of way around getting killed or killing somebody and being locked up?
Okay. Hey, Ricky, you said what'd you say? You said most white people you grew up around are not racist, or black people? What'd you say?
Well, there were some white gangs, that wanted to do harm to us in New York, Albany, New York, capital city, Albany, New York. And so I got in trouble with the gangs one time. But there are a lot of Hell's Angels on Harley Davidsons with the black jacket and everything. And a lot of those were my friends, just like when I got to Memphis. A lot of these thugs will buy me beer and cigarettes when I was using the beer, but I still smoke cigarettes. I'm 61 years old, and I can make friends out of gang members and everybody in Memphis better than the Christians,
Oh.
I mean, as far as getting some help,
I understand.
what I need, they would make sure I had something to eat and cigarettes and alcohol. And I used to do marijuana when I was like 13 until I was 23 and the room was spinning. I got hold of some angel dust in the army and stuff. Luckily, I've been off of drugs since I was 23 or 24 years old. But I get more help out of street people than I do people that have positions and jobs and claim to be Christian and run the church and everything, but they won't help me with no money and stuff. I mean, but still, I don't have an argument about that. I got to help myself. But I'm saying the bullies in life, you don't want to have to deal with a lot of bullies coming through school or on the street or wherever. God even hates bullies.
All right. Thank you for your call, Ricky.
And the last thing was...
Go ahead.
I'm saying, there's no self-defense law anymore. You can't defend yourself. You can't blame the gay or the straight for that. That's the government. That's the system.
All right, we're going to have callers and panelists to weigh in on your comment, Ricky. All right, now, Omar?
Self-defense is not
Judge.
The right of self-defense has not been reduced or abridged. You can defend yourself.
Right.
And what the rule is in Tennessee, if you are placed in a situation where a party is assaulting you and you have reasonable belief that you are in danger of suffering great bodily injury or death, you may use deadly force to defend yourself, even on to taking the life of your assailant.
Mm-hmm.
In Tennessee, this applies even though you may be mistaken, as long as it's an honest mistake.
Okay. Now you covered...
That's the rule.
Okay, you covered most of Pianki's statement, but you didn't cover the very first part, where he says blacks can be racist.
Well, of course we can. All humans are like that. The phenomenon is called xenophobia, a fear or loathing or dislike of the unknown or the unusual. It is a carryover from the old Ice Age when we lived in caves, whether it's Africa or Europe, and somebody came up was likely to be a stranger to your hunting grounds and somebody that was likely to diminish the game or resources that you needed to survive through the next winter. You see that in Africa right now when you look at the lions fighting each other for territory, or the baboon packs having fights for territory, or even watching chimpanzees go on a raid with the intent of killing some rival chimpanzees. So you see it's in the world, and we get this idea that we are not animals. We are. And yes, the most ingenious, smart, and clever animal, but we are still animals.
Mm-hmm.
And we are the best killing machine the planet has ever produced. So just like every other killing machine the planet has brought up to the surface, we fight each other. sometimes we can cooperate. So xenophobia is the putting of things in the category of them, those, and us.
The fear of others.
Yeah, but it's not even fear sometimes. It's a necessary
dislike.
Like you see leopards killing off the rival predators in the area when they can. They'll kill lion cubs when they can. Lions will kill leopards when they can. And what we have is this tendency to categorize into them, those, and us. See, them is the people that are your direct enemy. Those are somebody that's not like you. And us is those you perceive to be part of your group.
All right. Omar, you heard the comment from Bianca that he posted on Facebook. Judge Joe Brown, to an extent, agrees with that analysis from Bianchi. But what I did not hear from either one of them is the power group element. I heard that black people can react, try to adjust themselves. I heard make adjustments in their lives, but I didn't hear anything about the power dynamic. So
I said that. I mentioned earlier, I said the white bully slapping the black kid across the back of the head, and then when the black kid is with 5 to 6 of his homies, and they got the white boy, instead of sitting there and teaching the bully a lesson, they turn around and run and let him go. See, we got to teach folk a lesson when we get the opportunity.
Yes, but Judge, these are small groups from a larger group. This is not the institution. It is not the nation.
Only 19.1% of the registered voters in Memphis are white. Only 19.1. Only 28.4% in the county are white.
So how do you rate that nationally, on a national scale?
Well, on a national scale, we're in the position of being a spoiler. The Democratic Party, with the most racist person that's been running for president in the last, since St. Ron the Reagan, Joe Biden, that I was familiar with from having had to work in Delaware at one time 50 years ago, is out there for the Democratic Party. And you've got Donald Trump and so many like Baruti can't stand, but actually does more for us in terms of dance. You've got two folk out there, so what do you think? The racist that does nothing for you, or the racist that gives you something every now and then will cooperate with you?
I can answer that. We've got a comment coming through on Facebook, but I'll come back and answer that, but I want to take comment from Omar after Latoya reads this comment on Facebook. Go ahead, Latoya.
Okay, Judge Brown, this is for you. It says, it all begins, she's going back to what you was talking about in the beginning. She said it all begins in one. If you are confident in you and your belief, no one and nothing is your threat.
Okay, now I'll say something about that. That's an individual position, and then belief kills it. Because if you operate on a system of belief, if I believe if I run and stand in front of that train, nothing will happen to me, I will get shattered to smithereens based on a belief. Now, Omar, let me take a comment from you, coming back to you, Judge. Listen, it's approaching 11:15. We've got to move with the quickness. Omar, and then back to you, Judge.
You know, for those of us in the listening audience who believe that what people like, what's his name, black conservative and others like him say, then you need to study the history of the race, the history of the race. And then you will understand that what you are experiencing is not abnormal for the history of that race. I'm looking right now at an article, I've used this before. Here are 4 black children who graduated in Joliet, Illinois, from the same high school, who invited 2 of their friends over to their house for pizza and play games, video games. This is back in February, this is back in January of 2013. They invited them over to play games, and when these two young men came, two of their black friends, what they did to Terrence Rankin and Eric Glover was they killed them. Killed them, and then they put they killed and started trying to mutilate them, and then they put the bodies on the floor and laid a blanket on top of the body and had sex on top of the bodies.
Yes.
Then one of the young men who was there, was kind of a participant, left early, called the police. And the police came and found the dead bodies, found the gruesome murder scene. And one of the ladies that were having sex on top of the dead bodies, her mother was a police sergeant. But they trusted them. They're my friends. We graduated high school together. They invited us over to their house for a pizza party. We didn't ask to come. They said, come on, come let us have some fun. We go way back. We've been kicking it for a while. You don't know who you're going to be with. But that's, if you read the history of what they did down in South America and Central America, that's what you read. The same thing. You got to understand the mindset is different. And if they don't change the mindset, they won't change the reality.
And is this called? The question was, well, let me give a shout out. We've got Charlotte, Brandon, Clarissa, Janet, Hakeem, Greg, and Taquita watching on Facebook. Hey, big shout out to King Yah Speaks. Remember King Yah, Judge? We thank you very much. Hey, King Yah. And I have those phone numbers for you as well. I'll be in touch with you after today's show. And Omar, I'll be honest with you. I forgot the question.
Mr. Omar, she said she understands your point.
Let me add something.
She wanted what?
She understands your point.
Oh, she said this lady agrees with you, Judge. There's nothing wrong with having disagreements. Go ahead.
Let me add something to this mix about black business. We have these black youth who come out of school, and do they go into the black community to set up a business, or do they get into the mainstream? If they get into the mainstream and learn their trade, do they come back and deal with black business? One of the problems with black enterprise is that in order to work it, you've got to work out some deal with some pimp preachers, so you can give them a cut of what you get if they want to let you work in your communities. See, black folk don't have any resources to invest in their own businesses because there are too many demands coming out of these black churches from some pimp preachers to get the money that should be used for black investment in black enterprise put into a collection plate so the preacher can get a new car, a new house, or a new fur coat or something, or all of the above, for his wives and daughters. You see, that's where we get crippled, is by black religion. Sometimes it's good for black folks. There are conscientious black preachers, I will admit, but too often they're just pimping the black community. There used to be a street down here that has been fortunately raised for development. It was just a little bit north of Jackson. It was a long block, and they had 31 churches within a 1 block radius on that 1 block, and all of them pimping all of those poor people who didn't have a dime to afford in the first place because they're scared of going to hell, and they wanted some promise that they would have a better life sometime after they died, so they could endure what they were putting up with and not having the courage and the wherewithal and the fortitude to go fight. See, we've got nothing to lose, so there's no point in not fighting. Somebody is beating you across the head. What in the world are you talking about? I can't fight back. He might beat me worse. Well, he's been beating on you, coward self, so long, it's time to stand up. And we black folk have got to stand up and act like we are full-fledged, civilized humans, not in terms of killing each other, because some of us need to die, but because we need to stand up and make a defined situation where I dare you raise your hand to me, and we don't need any more damn John Lewis's down on their knees getting their ass beat by some redneck until another one feels guilty about it. See, we have the wrong ideation. We've got a traitor to the people that people have been holding up as somebody the Lord. And all of this media that couldn't stand him years ago is putting him out there. Somebody black folk ought to be celebrating. A damn pacifist gay boy down on his knees getting his butt beat because he has a masochistic streak. He likes it.
All right, we've got, let me give the numbers out again, Judge. 901-452-3094. 901-324-7490. If you cannot get in, 901-452-3942. Omar, the question came back to me on this racism part, and you heard what Judge Joe Brown said about religion and etc. And this part about black people can be racist. And then he throws in this not illegal, which is unrelated to the question. So we have to, the judge just said it, Omar, we have to get the language straight. So I heard an agreement between even myself and you, Omar, but the words were differently. So is this killing a part of brainwashing? And is this idea of religion brainwashing, as Tom Burrell points out in his book, Omar? Is this brainwashed?
You know, I have to agree with Dr. Claude Anderson when he says that black people don't have the capacity to be racist. They have the capacity to be prejudiced, but not racist, because racism is a power dynamic. It's a group thing. So we can be prejudiced against somebody, but then the next black person might feel like, oh no, dude, you shouldn't do it like that. But there's no system that we have to be controlled that says, yeah, we as a group, we're gonna make sure you stay at the bottom. We don't have that kind of power. We don't have it, and we don't even try to get it. Because when people do us bad, we try to, like they did in the church in Carolina, where Dylan Luke came in and killed those people who were meeting for a Bible study.
9 people.
9 people. And what did they want to say? They wanted to forgive him. Both of them, who was killed in the park by the police officer, said she was at the wrong address. What did the brother do?
Can I give her a hug?
Can I give her a hug? The judge wants to give her a Bible.
I want to get down and give you a Bible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of us. When it comes to other folk, we don't feel like that about ourselves because we have to hate ourselves. But that's the nature of who we are, of forgiving, loving people. The Indians could have easily come back and said, we're going to kill all the white folks that took our land. We could have said that out of slavery. We're going to go back and kill the white man. He was beating us in the field. Let's go and find him and kill him first. And then we'll be free. That's not who we are. That's who they are, but that's not who we are.
Okay.
So yeah, racism is a group dynamic and is practiced as a group. It's not practiced individually. But when white folks see racism and silence say nothing, they're practicing the racism with the ones that are overtly racist because you did nothing about a problem you knew was wrong, but you said nothing and you did nothing and you're an accomplice to the crime.
Is that called complicit?
Yes. And you know you are. You know you are. You can't just sit there and see it and say nothing.
Well, Omar, you just said something that made me think about something the judge said. He said, I don't remember his exact words, but history, the historical element of us as a people. Here's my position. You cannot discuss, if you discuss racism without discussing the history of these two groups, then you are going to fall short in your analysis. That is my position. Go ahead, Omar. Can you build on that?
You got to study the history. Because you know what? History is best, like Dr. Rajama say, the study of history is best able to avoid our research.
Yes.
If you know who you're dealing with, then you can deal with them better. But if you think, oh, they're just like everybody else, then you're going to become a victim of that same history. History repeats itself. You're going to become a victim of that same history, and somebody else will become a victim of. How do you tell the members, and then it said, we signed over 10,000 treaties with you, and you've broken every one of them, which means you are a liar. Every time we sign a paper saying you're going to do this and we're going to do that, you lie, and you break it and you feel no remorse, you don't feel anything, but you sleep good at night. After you lied to us. How do you march into the prairie to reservations After you defeated the men, you defeated them. And when you march them across the prairie, you say, here's a token of our, of our warmth and affection for you because we killed all your braves. And then we're getting blankets laced with smallpox. These are women, children, and old men. You give them death after you promise them life. And then they name a university after you. How can Amherst University, how do you do that? And you sleep good at night. That's because that's who you are. The racism is ingrained in you, and you can't get it out without a system. You got to go to, look, man, a system of hatred is enough. They let us out of service, but we still hate each other. Because we talk to hate each other on a plantation.
Well,
And we're 100 years later, we are still victims of that hatred of self.
Yeah, we're down to about 5 minutes, Omar, but this book by Dr. Bobby E. Wright, those are called the psychopathic racial personalities. According to, as a reference, as I said earlier, Dr. Bobby Wright. And real quick, LaToya, can you read that? Another comment coming through on Facebook, going back to the judge and announce our topic for next week. Go ahead, LaToya.
All right, shout out to the ones that's online watching. We have Q, we have Miss Underwood, we have Mr. Story, Alicia, and Mrs. Hall. Thank y'all for tuning in.
All right. Listen, Judge, you said something that made me think about the topic for next week. Religion and revolution.
Oh, boy.
Hey, and Omar, let's keep that brainwashing in there too, Omar. Go ahead, Judge.
Let me make a quick remark.
Okay, and we're about out of time.
White folk are racist. Black folk are prejudiced. Black folk tend not to be racist because they want to be right down inside. So they can't hate what they want to be. But they can be prejudiced against somebody who is what they want to be.
Yes, sir.
White folk don't want to be black. They think black is something bad. All right? See, now, black people, because of the way we are raised and because of the overall propagandistic effect of media and the culture in this country, tend to look down on themselves. We can turn that around, but there are things that we have to do that we do not do because there is this glorification of the dysfunction associated with black people. So we get proud of the wrong thing. We used to have I'm black and I'm proud. Now, if we proudly hold up the things that keep us from being proud, we hold up being pimps, thugs, drug dealers, hoes, murderers, thieves, and everything else. And we even think about let all of these folk out of the penitentiary who have been dealing, with depredations in our own community. So we need to become intolerant toward wrong when it's committed by our own people as a start.
Okay.
We've got to, but we now justify wrong being done to us because it's the black thing. That's not black. That's just being an ex-slave.
LaToya, go ahead. You wanted to say something toward the end. It's your time.
Oh, yeah. Hey, how y'all doing? My name is LaToya. Of course, I am from Love in My Community. I just want to say something real quick. Love in My Community is working on a project for the next 2 weeks. So if you're out there and you're tuning in and you would like to be a part of something positive, please contact me on Facebook or Instagram, or if you have my personal number or need my number, feel free to inbox me. We're trying to do a cookout for Love in My Community for the kids. We need all the assistance that we can get. If you would like to be a part of a positive cookout for the community, please reach out.
All right, thank you, Ms. LaToya. Omar, back to you. We've got 3 minutes. And what do you think of our topic for next week? And let us in on that joke.
You know, the topic we're talking about for next week is the topic we've been talking about for the past 5 years.
True.
we have got to wake our people up. Everybody, all people that talk like unconscious Negroes at the bottom. They want the world to be full of, black conservatives, others like him. They love that because they can control that group of Negroes. But when people wake up, fear and trembling, is all over the land. And that's what they have now with Black Lives Matter. Fear and trembling, because you got some poor people that are waking up, and you got some white people that realize, y'all are right, Black lives do matter, and we got to stand there with you because we're not with that system. We have decided to exit the system, and we're going to exit the system to a system of justice. But yes, that's a good topic for next week, and that's a good topic for the next century, till we get it straightened out.
And let me ask you this, Omar, as we close out. The judge said that the black man now has 3 enemies: racism, LGBTQ, queer, and queer. Something on that real quick before we have final thought.
We've got racism.
You know, Judge Brown spoke truth, because right now they're trying to demonize the black man. If you demonize, make a neutralizer. And he's right on that. This is war. And they have got ammunition in their toolbox through the media to conduct that war, and we better wake up so we don't lose the war. Our children will be walking around with miniskirts on and having a thing hanging between their legs trying to figure out what to do with it. We're in trouble, man. I see it all the time. We got to fix it. But we got to fix it because they're not going to.
Yes, right.
It's a weapon of war, and they're using it very, very, very well against us. He ain't lied. He told the truth.
Final thoughts.
Black Lives Matter is a front organization for the queer folk, and they're trying to take us down with it and get us to support our own downfall. And then the racists out there are going to be the second victim of the queer folk, because they hate traditional humanity. They are weird, they're wired wrong, they don't want to be women when they're supposed to be, they don't want to be men when they're supposed to be, they hate what they are, and they hate what they want to be. So you got these self-hating people that want to take everybody down, but they're starting with us first.
Yes.
So we have the old racists and the queer folk to deal with. Not all on the spectrum. The ones that just advocate that associated lifestyle in political perspective to taking black folk down, because we are too overtly into what we are as a human.
All right, Judge, we're about out of time. Final thought, Omar.
Stay tuned.
Say it again. Oh, stay tuned.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Wake Up, people. Time to wake up.
Stay tuned for the next episode of the Love Power Show. We thank you for calling in. On your job. Hey, Judge, we thank you very much for weighing in.
Next week.
And rendering your legal expertise, but not only that, your sometimes controversial remarks, but your strategy and knowledge help move us forward. We thank you.
I hope every remark I make is controversial. Think about it.
I understand. Controversy generates thought.
Mr. Omar and Judge, nice speaking with y'all today. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Love Power Show here each Sunday beginning at 10 a.m. Facebook Live, Twitter Live, Instagram Live.
They didn't. A lot of people didn't like that queer state.